Hey there, this is Kash, and you're listening to On Air with Kash, and I'm excited to welcome a longtime friend and collaborator, Ron Robinson. We first met back in the day. I was at LA City College. We were both working on the same short film. We've been friends and creative partners ever since. Over the years, we've teamed up on projects like The Edge of Incursion, Jack and Cocaine, Dateable John, and Mayhem of the Mind. Ron's gone on to build such an incredible career with some amazing recent credits, and I'm thrilled to have him on to talk about his journey and our collaborations and what's next for him. Please welcome my good buddy, Ron Robinson.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Oh gosh, where do I begin? I can still remember, gosh, like back in the day, I just started LA City College. We were working on this film about the 27 Club, and then we kept talking, and then we kept getting new ideas. And you were already on a roll with like 90210. I just loved how every so often, every couple of years, we just kind of reunite, and we're at different spaces in life, but then we always collaborate on something new.
Yeah, man, that's how we started our friendship.
We've had some interesting times. You and I can both remember the 90s, but then it was like around the time when we met, yeah, things were changing, and it was still the traditional format of, you had a movie release, then it would go to video or DVD, and then it would be on TV. And then it was like kind of like when I finished college and was starting at WME, and then we were still working on a few things. That's when it was like I saw the shift in like how streaming was coming in.
Yeah.
We both had the same manager. We got on this feature film with the late great Shannen Doherty, Undateable John.
Undateable John, yes.
That was great. And that was just such an epic experience. We didn't have any scenes together, but we remember like being on set. You were like had scenes with like Joan Jett, Estella, Tom Arnold.
Yeah, man, we shot that movie in like a record-breaking like 5 days. It came together. It was an exciting experience up in Laurel Canyon, shooting in that house. Like the whole movie was done inside of one house in Laurel Canyon.
Like the table read. We were there. There's Daryl Hannah. There's Tom Arnold, and there's like Margaret Cho, and we're like, oh my! And then the cast just kept growing from there. And then I didn't even find out that Shannen was going to be in the movie until like I was driving to set.
Yeah, it was interesting because it started off with a couple people, and then as we were shooting, other cast members started joining. Tom Arnold, different people, and it was like, wow, it was interesting to see how that was all put together from that side, because being that we had a manager who was one of the writers, we got to see kind of firsthand how everything was kind of set up. So it was interesting,
Definitely. That and Edge of Incursion, which was your movie that you starred, directed, and that was another fun project. We were downtown at a studio. A year or two later, we were at the Grauman's Chinese Theater for the film festival.
Yeah, that was a great experience, working with you again. I had a little idea to direct something, and you were the first person I thought of, and it just worked. I really enjoyed it. It was crazy, shooting in downtown LA. A couple of blocks from like Skid Row, but it created that atmosphere for what I was looking for.
From there, we went on with Jack and Cocaine. It was the follow-up. Our manager at the time had written this project. We got to get Ron in on this, and we got a bunch of friends in, and then we were like, yeah, this is perfect synergy. Just went on and had like Mayhem of the Mind, and that was a whole thing in itself, because that was like right before the pandemic. Time at WME was winding down, and then I was just being in the voiceover studio, was getting into podcasting. You and I worked with some comedians as well, and you moved to Vancouver, and you've just been booking.
Yeah, that was just a continuation of what we were doing. I moved here during a little bit after the pandemic. My wife is from Canada, and we wanted to be closer to her family, and I came here and I hooked up with the best agent, Sarah, and I was just blessed to have this awesome team, and it just kind of took off, and it was just a continuation of what me and you were doing, just that grassroots indie, and then taking it to that level. The first thing my agent here said was like, oh, I think you'd be great for a blockbuster. And then at the time, I didn't even hear the show. Right. And then 2 weeks later, I'm on set, and it just kind of took off from there. So I was been very fortunate since I've been here. It's been just amazing.
You go from like a comedy show like Blockbuster, which I know that's sentimental for us because that's where we learned about movies. We didn't have all the streaming options that kids have today. You and I actually had to go to a video store. They still call it video stores, and then DVD.
Yeah. I spent my Friday nights going to Blockbuster and buying microwave popcorn there, and it's just a whole, I missed that whole thing. So it was like a little bit of a nostalgia just to kind of be a part of it. And then when you show up on set, you're inside of a Blockbuster video store. And I was just like, whoa, there's times where was hard for me to distinguish fantasy from reality because I grew up in that world, you know?
You have such a range that you could do. So I'm watching you do comedy on Special Agent on Netflix.
That was exciting. You know, we actually shot a lot of that down the street from where I live. They turned a warehouse into the White House. I mean, they had like carpenters and everything doing construction. And at the time, I didn't know how big that show was going to be, you know? So just working with the action sequences and Gabriel, he was, you know, the star of the show. He was very cool and easy to work with. And I just remember just being excited about it, but I didn't know that it was just going to blow up like that. You know, I was just having fun, just doing it. I just remember shooting down in like some basement cellar, and I was like, wow, this could turn into something. This looks good, you know.
My life with the Walter Boys. And that was just kind of an interesting parallel too, because I mean, one, you had been on 90210.
Yeah, that's what was tripping me out because I'm just like, I was on that show. I had a spot on there, you know, years ago. I didn't work with Jason Priestley at the time, even though we're in the episode together. So it was just surreal to like come full circle like
Oh,
that.
wow.
And then I show up for the Walter Boys. I didn't even know at the time. I was like, whoa, he's directing this. Wow, man, this is. Ooh, I'm gonna have to, you know, make sure I'm on my A game, man. This is a legend, man. He knows, you know, it was just an incredible experience working with him. Has a deep understanding of being in front and behind the camera. It makes him great to work with as far as with actors. And it pushed me to dig deeper for my performance, man, because I knew I was in good hands. Just finished a movie called The Hunger for a Lifetime, and it's based on a book written by Roxane Gay. And it's based on a true story of her life, and I play her dad, Michael Gay, and the whole process of that, you know, having to play from 35 to like 60, you
Oh,
know,
wow. Okay.
and yeah, and it was just I'm looking forward to that coming out. It should be
Yeah.
out like probably earlier next year.
This is what I love doing about the show because I like this is how I remember us.
Yeah, that's one thing I always loved about our friendship because not only are we great friends, but you always inspired me because you were a doer. You know, you were always after it. So it made me want to try harder and you know work with you and just like it's just like we had this common camaraderie of like you know film
Mm.
and just being proactive, and you were always at the film festivals, you know, you're always doing something. I'm just like, oh, okay, you know, I better get my stuff together. And I always trusted working with you because I knew that you were a hard worker. I know you're dedicated. I know you have the passion. So it was always just I always just like find any reason for us to always try to do something, you know.
The feeling is mutual, and it's like conversations like this that make the show so rewarding. Whatever we do next is like, you know, it'll be special, it'll be meaningful, and then we'll be back here talking about, okay, what's the next thing gonna be?
There you go.